Hey folks, I'm Sarah and I'm on the 2025 jury for what I think is the best book prize for literary fiction from small presses. It's called the Republic of Consciousness Prize, United States and Canada, and it is dedicated to literary fiction from small presses in North America. Over the next few months, I will be sharing every single book nominated for the prize, and while I can't share my personal opinions on each book just yet, I will share enough details so that you can get to know the book and the publisher. Every book gets its very own video, and you are not going to want to miss a single one. Next up is book number 19, The Time of the Novel by Lara Mimosa Montes. This is published by Wendy's Subway. In this slim novella, a woman wakes up in an apartment that she's living in temporarily. She's subletting it from a mother and her teenage daughter. It is the narrator's goal in this novella to abandon her life, at least temporarily, to become a narrator. Not like an audiobook narrator. We're not talking about voice acting here. She wants to become the disembodied entity that narrates novels. And she has a lot to say about this project. So a few examples. She says, "My intention in securing this apartment was to live out an unclaimed desire, to give myself over to the spell of narration and pass through time like a tongue without a body." And she says, "In pursuing this fantasy of becoming a narrator, I wish to hover in the fray and observe." And she also says, "It was also a great relief to pretend that I was, for the time being, rather than a person, a figure of the imagination, a subjecthood, a shadow." And she says, "In solidarity with the narrators I liked most, I was determined not to work a real job." So she goes about this task that she's set for herself, but she also has to do her daily things you need to do to live in the world. She still does her shopping. She still goes to at least one social event where she attempts to actually describe what she's trying to do here. But all the while, she's trying to disappear, to withdraw from the world, to just become like a floaty observer, a narrator. She wants to remove herself from the real and enter into fiction. And Lara Mimosa Montes is a writer, editor, and teaching artist who, as her bio says, whose practice and experiences span the fields of alternative publishing and experimental writing. She's a faculty member of the Creative Writing MFA program at Pacific Northwest College of Art, and she also teaches in XE, Experimental Humanities and Social Engagement Master's Program at NYU. And she was born in the Bronx. And Wendy's Subway is actually a physical reading room, writing space, and independent publisher in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And they say about themselves, "We support emerging artists and writers in making experimental, urgent work and create alternative modes for learning and thinking in community." Wendy's Subway is dedicated to encouraging creative, critical, and discursive engagement with arts and literature. We prioritize collaboration and horizontal decision-making in our work towards being a responsive and sustainable organization. And they have lots of programming that includes free readings, talks, performances, reading groups, workshops, residencies, and a library with over 4,000 titles. So when I was thinking about kind of what to talk about today with this novel, I kept returning to that first sentence that I read, and I'll read it again. It says, "I woke up in the bedroom of a 16-year-old girl, unsure if the blood on the sheets was mine or hers." You know, I don't always remember first sentences as I'm reading through a novel. I usually return to them once I'm finished with them, but I don't necessarily have them in mind as I'm reading the whole novel. But this one was really striking, and I think it was because it was about blood on the sheets, no less. Throughout the rest of the book, the narrator keeps saying she wants to leave her body behind, when that first sentence was very much related to the body, related to having a body, related to the kinds of evidence a body leaves behind. And I had a lot of fun puzzling out how that image in the first sentence related to the rest of the book, which led me to thinking about first sentences in general. And I was recently in a great writing class led by the incredible novelist Lindsay Hunter. And in one of our sessions, she talked a lot about openings of novels, and how a novel's opening passage has to teach you as a reader how to read the rest of the book. It has to kind of set up the rules of the book. A good opening to a novel gives you what you need to know to understand the rest of the novel, whether it's something about the themes or the characters or the structure. Something about that opening helps guide you through the rest of the novel. So I challenge you to go back to a novel you loved, either something you've read recently or not, and read the opening passage and try to figure out how that opening passage set you up to read the rest of the novel. Did it establish any rules by which you could understand what was going on throughout the rest of the book? I would love to know in the comments what you find. This is my example for you of an interesting situation, an interesting opening that really determined how I read the rest of the novella. And that's just one of many incredible books nominated by one of many incredible publishers. The long list of 10 books is usually announced in mid-January-ish, but I guarantee you there are going to be more than 10 amazing books from these nominees. So if you love offbeat, under-the-radar literary fiction, you are going to want to follow along. Click above or below for the next nominated book. If I've filmed it, it'll be available there. If not, stay tuned for just a little while longer. And in the meantime, you can click the playlist below that will contain all of the nominated books that I've shared so far. Again, my name is Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.